She's 21 years old. She's from the Philippines, and she just walked into a $7.4 million tournament, looked at the world number 10 across the net, and didn't blink once. Alex Eala isn't supposed to be here yet. That's what the rankings say. That's what the seedings say. But nobody told her that, because this girl just beat a top 3 player in a title match, cracked the world's top 20, and turned every arena she walks into this summer into a Filipino fiesta. And now she's got Amanda Anisimova, 2-time Grand Slam finalist, standing between her and a 4th-round spot in Cincinnati. This isn't a feel-good underdog story anymore. This is a takeover. There are matches you watch because they're on the schedule, and then there are matches that feel like they were written, wrapped in pressure, soaked in storyline, impossible to look away from. The 3rd-round showdown between Alex Eala of the Philippines and Amanda Anisimova of the United States is the second kind. Every single bit of it. A fearless 21-year-old against a battle-hardened 24-year-old who's already been to 2 Grand Slam finals. First-time meeting. Hard courts at the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Mason, Ohio. And before either player even hit a warm-up ball, tour writers had already crowned it the marquee match of the 2026 Cincinnati Open. This isn't just about who moves on to the 4th round, not even close. For Eala, this match is a defining chapter in the most important stretch of her career. For Anisimova, it's another step in clawing her way back to the player who terrorized the back half of 2025. 2 storylines, 1 court, 0 margin for error. And here's the detail that makes it genuinely fascinating. These two have never played each other. Not once. No head-to-head, no patterns to study, no old scores to lean on for confidence or caution. This story gets written in real time, in front of a Cincinnati crowd that has quietly transformed into something of a home court for Eala, powered by the wave of Filipino and Filipino-American fans who've been following her every step of this summer. So let's get into it. Form, momentum, matchup math. Eala arrived in Cincinnati already riding something electric. As the tournament's 17th seed, the highest seeding of her WTA career, she earned a first-round bye before getting to work on Romania's Elena Gabriela Rus. And that second-round performance was a statement. After dropping her opening service game, she reeled off 6 straight games, closed the first set 6-1, and was racing to a 3-0 lead in the second when lightning shut everything down. Ruse, nursing a right foot issue during the delay, didn't come back out. The scoreline read 6-1, 3-0 retirement. Not the finish anyone wanted, but the tennis Eala was playing before the stoppage was dominant. Surgical. Her return numbers were extraordinary. 71% on first serve return points, 78% on second. Against a tougher opponent, those numbers become a weapon. And she's about to face a much tougher opponent. Across the draw, Anisimova handled Turkish rising star Zeynep Sönmez cleanly. 6-2, 6-3, straight sets, weather interruption and all. The 9th seed looked composed throughout, flattening out her ground strokes and taking time away before Sönmez could find any rhythm. When she's locked in like that, she's genuinely difficult to live with. This collision had been circled since the draw was released. Tour analysts flagged it immediately. The 9th and 17th seeds on a direct collision course. And both players delivered exactly on that projection. But the stakes stretch far beyond just this match. Whoever wins this is projected to face 6th seed and reigning Wimbledon champion Linda Noskova in the 4th round. And here's the uncomfortable truth for Eala. Noskova already owns a 2-0 record over her this season. 6-2, 6-1 at Indian Wells, 6-2, 6-4 in the Berlin Open final. Both convincing, both painful. And if Eala keeps winning beyond that, the projected path includes a quarterfinal against Jessica Pegula, the same Pegula she beat in the DC Open final, a semifinal against Rybakina, and a potential final against world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. It is a brutal, unforgiving gauntlet. Which is exactly why this 3rd-round match feels closer to must-win territory than anything on her calendar right now. Now let's talk about who these two players actually are, because the profiles matter enormously here. Eala, 21 years old, Philippines, world number 20, seeded 17th, left-handed, and that detail matters more than it initially sounds. She came through the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, built her name as a junior Grand Slam champion, then converted that promise into WTA-level results faster than almost anyone expected. The 2026 season has been nothing short of transformative. A historic Wimbledon run that put the entire tour on notice. A maiden WTA title at the Mubadala City DC Open on August 3rd, won by defeating world number 3 Jessica Pegula, making her the first Filipino player ever to crack the world's top 20. Then a fourth-round run in Toronto before falling to Bencic in a tournament where the crowd support grew so passionate that fans started calling the venue Barangay Toronto. Her game is built around an aggressive lefty forehand that she uses to control rallies from every corner of the court, paired with a return game that has been statistically elite all summer long. The left-handed serve generates natural angles that right-handers rarely practice against, especially out wide in the ad court. And she plays with a hunger for big moments that simply does not match her age or ranking. Beating a top 3 player in a title match proves she doesn't freeze when the lights get brightest. But the question marks are real. Consistency against opponents who can match her power has been the decisive factor in her losses. Noskova outgunned her twice. Can her aggression hold its shape against someone hitting just as flat, just as hard, and with more raw physicality behind the ball? That's the central tension heading into this match. Which brings us to Anisimova, 24 years old, American, world number 10, seeded 9th, right-handed, two-handed backhand, career high ranking of number 3, reached just this past January, and hers might be the most remarkable personal narrative in women's tennis right now. She burst onto the scene as a teenager, reached the French Open semifinals at 17 in 2019 by beating Simona Halep, then stepped away from the sport entirely in 2023 to protect her mental health. Her comeback became one of the genuine feel-good stories on tour. She has said other players reached out to tell her it gave them permission to prioritize their own well-being too. And the results validated everything. In 2025, she won WTA 1000 titles at Doha and Beijing, reached the Wimbledon final, reached the US Open final against Sabalenka, and finished the year inside the world's top 5 for the first time in her career. But 2026 has been a different story. She split with her coach in March. A left wrist injury erased 2 months of clay season. She looked rusty returning at the French Open, going out in the 3rd round. She couldn't match her Queen's Club run from 2025. At Wimbledon, she showed flashes, straight set wins, some encouraging signs on grass, but the free-flowing, dominant version of Anisimova has been harder to locate this year. She's still top 10. She's still a 2-time major finalist. On hard courts, where her flat and aggressive ball striking finds its truest home, she remains one of the most dangerous players in any draw. Her strengths are legitimate. Elite striking off both wings, exceptional depth and pace that rushes opponents before they can breathe, proven big match composure. She's beaten Sabalenka at Wimbledon and pushed her to a tiebreak in a slam final. That kind of mental DNA doesn't disappear, but when her level dips even slightly, that low-margin game can become error-prone in a hurry. That's the version of Anisimova that Eala absolutely needs to find. Put them side by side, and the contrast is striking. Eala, 21 years old, ranked 20th, seeded 17th, left-handed, 7 wins in her last 8 matches, a WTA title over a top 3 player as her defining result of the season. Anisimova, 24 years old, ranked 10th, seeded 9th, right-handed, coming off a clean straight-set win in round 2 with back-to-back Grand Slam final appearances as her headline achievements. Rankings favor Anisimova. Resume favors Anisimova. Head-to-head, completely blank, 0-0, a total clean slate. And trajectory right now? That belongs to Eala. And it isn't particularly close. Here's what makes this match so analytically compelling, though. These 2 games overlap far more than they contrast. Both are baseline aggressors. Both like to take the ball early, flatten it out, and end points on their own terms. Neither is a natural grinder or counterpuncher, which means this match won't be decided by who imposes a game plan on a passive opponent. It'll be decided by who executes cleaner under pressure, who serves more efficiently, and who wins the first strike battle in return games. The left-handed variable is a genuine factor here. Anisimova hasn't faced many high-level lefties on tour this season, and the mirror image angles, particularly out wide in the ad court, can disrupt the patterns a right-hander builds over years of muscle memory. Expect Eala to go to that wide serve early and often, using it to open her forehand into the open court. It's worked consistently against multiple opponents this summer. The counterweight to that is Anisimova's raw physicality and pace. When her ball striking is truly on, very few players on tour have the power to absorb it and redirect it. Her flat backhand in particular can overwhelm opponents who aren't yet at full physical maturity, and Eala, at 21, is still filling that out. The physical gap is real, and it can show up in long rallies, which is exactly why return games will likely settle this match. Eala's numbers against Rus, 71% on first serve returns, 78% on second atsaon, were extraordinary, even accounting for the level of opposition. If she brings anything close to that quality against Anisimova's serve, effective but far from her most dangerous weapon, Eala gives herself genuine break opportunities in almost every service game. On the other side, Anisimova's return game has been sharp all season and was central to her biggest wins, including her upset of Sabalenka at Wimbledon last year. There are a few other factors worth flagging before the first ball is struck. Freshness. Eala's second-round win ended via retirement, meaning she never had to grind through a full three-set battle to get here. In a tournament where matches stack up fast and fatigue compounds quickly, that extra recovery time, physically and mentally, is a small but real edge. Then there's the crowd. Cincinnati has quietly become a home away from home for Eala. The Filipino diaspora has shown up in massive numbers across the entire North American hardcourt swing this summer, creating an atmosphere that has visibly lifted her level when the match tightens. Playing in front of a crowd that is completely, loudly, unconditionally in your corner against a higher-ranked opponent who's still searching for her best tennis, that can absolutely be the difference in breakpoints, tie breaks, and the pivotal moments that matches turn on. And finally, weather. Rain has already disrupted both players' campaigns in Cincinnati once. If another delay hits while one player is playing better than the other, momentum shifts in ways nobody can predict. It's an unpredictable variable that could cut either direction. So here's the bottom line. Can Eala win this? Yes. And the case for her is far stronger than a basic ranking comparison suggests. The gap in rankings and resume both favor Anisimova on paper. And if the American shows up playing anywhere near her 2025 peak, she is the more dangerous ball striker in this matchup and the more experienced closer when sets get tight. That's real. That has to be respected. But form isn't just a number next to your name. It's a trajectory. And right now, Eala's trajectory is pointed sharply, decisively upward, while Anisimova's 2026 has been defined by a coaching change, a wrist injury, and a slow and uncertain rebuild toward the tennis she played 18 months ago. Eala, by contrast, arrives having won a WTA title over a top 3 player, pushed deep into the second week of Wimbledon, and gone 7-1 across her last 8 matches. She is playing with full belief, backed by a crowd that will be entirely and loudly in her corner, against an opponent who is still very much in the process of finding her feet. The path to winning this runs straight through the return game. It runs through the left-handed angle that Anisimova simply hasn't had to solve at this level very often. And if Eala locks into that pattern early, if she makes the crowd feel it and makes Anisimova feel the weight of a season that hasn't gone to plan, this is not just a match Eala can win. This is a match she is built for. Tennis Diaries, where the ones who saw the collision coming stay until the first ball is struck.